Okay, so before we begin the main how-to video, we're going to give away the prize that we did 2 weeks ago on a how-to video. So the aim of the game was like, subscribe and comment on a previous how-to video. So using a special online random generator, bing, we picked a winner. That lucky winner was Carl Easton. So this Turbo HD kit is on its way to you. If you get in contact with DVS at marketing@dvs.co.uk, we will set up sending this to you. We can give you some lovely photos of your installation progress and where you've put it. Okay, moving on to the how-to video and keep watching. Welcome to another how-to video. My name is Ditech, CTO at DVS, and today we're going to take a look at a brand new product, the 7-line ANPR camera. So I'll just move over my Seagate water bottle. It's important to stay hydrated in this weather. I don't know where you are in the world, but in the UK it's quite warm. Make sure you stay hydrated and everyone around you. Okay, so the 7-line ANPR camera. What is it? What does it do? What does it look like and why? So currently in the UK we use the 4-line ANPR camera. It's been out for just over 3 years. Great product, nothing wrong with it. But it is time to progress the hardware, the engine and the look of the camera. It is still available currently, so if you've got any projects ongoing, don't worry. But we are going to start moving across to this new 7-line product. It's got the GPU learning, deep learning algorithm in there, new style look to fit in with the new 2-line camera. And it is a much better algorithm. So, in the box, what you get? Let's take a look. So, apart from loads of white packaging, your usual cable with screws and Allen key, security screwdriver. You got the manual and the CD. You now come, in most cameras you actually get the waterproof tape which goes around any of the joints or cables as they come into the product. So yep, that's fine. Okay, so what you'll notice on this one is take the wrapper off. So it is a very traditional looking 2-line camera. It looks the same as the 2-line, 5-line, 7-line. They all look very similar now. So it's that familiarity across the site. So what you'll see is on this model particularly is the base unit, the base bracket, box, whatever you want to call it, is like the standard version where you screw this to the wall. It's got the screws already in there. That then secures to that bracket. Unlike the older 2-line or the new 2-line, but the new style where you have a metal back plate that screws to the wall, that back box screws to that, and then the camera screws to that, and the connections are actually on there. This one, they're now onto a fly lead. Do I like it? It's probably easier for you guys if you use an ANPR to connect your network in there and waterproof tape it with a socket, and then you have your inputs and alarm outputs for barrier control, audio, etc. if you're using it. So you've got the DC 12 volt there, your network which is standard PoE, so that's fine. You've got your RS485 control, you've also got your alarm input output, and same on that one, so 2 alarm inputs and 2 alarm outputs, no audio on there. Don't make that mistake as we did earlier on, or I didn't, but a customer did this week with a big project of them. So that's the look and feel of it. I've got one fitted outside. I've been testing it and helping develop the algorithm for quite some time now, so we'll log into that and check it. But that is what it looks like. That done. Other than that, we shall see you in 2 seconds. And welcome back. So if Jake has done his job properly, you will see this as a seamless stitch. If he hasn't, then we'll sack him and we'll replace him with something else that eats peanuts. But no, to be fair to the marketing guys, they do a really good job. If you've got 2 minutes, drop them a line, say how grateful you are for all their hard work, marketing and giveaways that they do. Right, so then, moving on. We're going to web browse into our product. So I've set the web browser up, standard web browser. Very familiar. I'm going to log in, but I'm not going to tell you my password. So, a couple of things to note. Logged in, I've got the 8-32mm lens. This is our entrance gateway to our building. I would say that's around 23 meters from the camera, zoomed in. So the 2.8-12mm will do around 15 meters, plate detection and read accuracy. And the 8-32 will do up to 35. So I could zoom that in a little bit more. In fact, I do capture vehicles around this white dotted line here. So the up to 35 meter rule does apply. Don't forget, it's not just the accuracy of the algorithm and the distance, it's also the effective IR distance we have to account. So therefore, listen to me. Other things to note is that's a severe angle. So as a car drives in here, the plate will be on a skew, if anything, up to 45 degrees, depending how we drive. If you're like me and can't drive or don't pay any attention, then your angle of your plate will be ridiculously bad. Therefore, expect some misreads or no reads at all. But if you put it so the cars drive in and out this way, like straight on, then the plate will be read very, very accurately, and so it's like sort of up to 98% accuracy, 98% read. So it is very, very strong. Testing this compared to the 4-line over the past 8 months, or however long I've been testing it, the accuracy and the speed of which it detects is very, very good compared to the 4-line. Like I said, the 4-line was very good, but this takes it to another new level. The IDS TCM camera, which we also have, which I did a video on before, that's part of the intelligent traffic solution range. Again, that takes it to another level. This camera is aimed at that sort of entry to midpoint, and the ITS is at the higher end point. Other things to know, web browsers are the same. So, and again, the angle is always important. We do have a setup document for this, so if you want it, it'll tell you the suggested mounting heights, angles, etc., and distances. If you want it, let us know. We can send that over to you. Okay, so under configuration, we'll start off with system settings. So you can see here, that is the new model number for the ANPR camera. Like the 4-line, it's a /P/P, which means out of the box it's set for ANPR. So no more customized firmwares and messing around. I think that was clapping I just did, yeah? Yeah, it was definitely clapping. So yeah, again, makes your life as easy as possible. Currently to date, this is the current firmware version. And two things to note on this one is we still, if you want to use an ANPR camera with Paxton, we have the 4-line with weakened output on there. The current 7-line version doesn't have the weakened output, so we have to use the 4-line. I don't know if it's going to be updated anytime soon, but for Paxton, it's still the 4-line with weakened. We're not going to discontinue that model, and we are going to keep the stock in that at DVS. The 7-line is for standard ANPR functionality. That's the current firmware version. We've done quite a bit of tweaks on this version, and it worked very, very well. Standard other functions, you've got your maintenance system service, so make sure your enable IR light is on. Remember, at night, the infrared becomes a vital part of the setup, and we need to bounce infrared off the reflective surface of the number plate so the OCR engine can do its job. If the number plate is illegal and it's lacquered or doesn't have a reflective surface, we will really struggle to read it. In the daytime, it's not so bad. In the nighttime especially, you probably won't get a read. So just make sure that's on. By default, it is. And then you've got your other security functions, user management, network. These are all standard functions. We're not going to go through this. And you've got your platform access, etc. It's a 2 megapixel camera, and it does support H.265 and H.265 Plus. So I have set this one to H.265, 1080p at 25 frames a second. Then under video, image, sorry. Like on the 4-line camera, we've got the mounting scenario is normal and road. And by default, it's road. Like I said, it's the ANPR model, so it's defaulted to the best of our ability to generalization. You may have to tweak some of this. Mounting scenario is road. Exposure setting is 1/1000. That's generally the best setting. For faster moving vehicles, 1/1000 is good. If you've got slow moving traffic, you can actually start to reduce it to like maybe 1/250, 300, 400, etc. The image will start to stay lighter in general. so you get more of an overview at night. Over 1/1000 at night, the overview will just be black because of the exposure, but it does work best for fast moving vehicles with strong headlights. But we can adjust that per site, but that's the suggested level. Focus is semi-auto. If you put it to auto, it'll keep shifting focus and you'll find the reads will be very down, because as a car goes past, it will try to focus on that and it'll just throw the whole thing out. So leave it as semi-auto. Day-night switch, triggered by video, sensitivity 7. And then you've got smart supplement IR light is off. By default it's on. I turn it off, which means I put the full IR at the object. The smart IR on means as an object gets closer, the IR reduces, so you don't get that overexposure. With number plates, we don't really see that issue, so I like to throw all the infrared at it as possible. Backlight settings are all off. I don't need any in this scenario. I've got strong sunlight in the, over here in the summer. The sun is over there, but it doesn't cause an issue with the camera at all, so I don't need any of those settings. White balance, image enhancement, video adjust, I set it to outdoor, and other local output is off. That's all you need to set on the camera from an image perspective. Now, under the event, a couple of things to note. Under the alarm output, by default, if we're connecting a barrier to it, you can see there's no time schedule on this. So the first thing to note is choose your output you've wired it in. Like I said, there is 2 outputs on this. What you need to do is select your output you wired it into and then set the schedule. We'll set it to 24/7. Save, copy that to all days and save. You can test that output, so once you've connected into your barrier, it's normally open, going, closed on alarm. Click manual alarm, which will temporarily operate the relay, which will open a barrier or gate that's connected to it. If you don't do this, what you'll find is most people ring me and say the ANPR is not working. I think I've set it all correctly. First thing I do is go into the alarm output, check the time schedule, and it's not set because it's not set by default. Apply that, and then it's all working. So just a point and note, check that. Okay, next things, what we'll do now is we have got other support for the smart analysis in there. So if I go to intrusion detection, I can enable that. Draw objects, a minimum maximum areas. So we do support, unlike the 4-line, an ANPR 4-line camera doesn't support any smart events other than vehicle detection. We can support some smart events on this new ANPR camera. Is it suggested? Probably not, because it's there to set for a specific reason. It's zoomed into a specific area to capture number plates and then do whether you're just doing it for general data collection or for operating a barrier. But at night time, because the image will be black, you're not going to be detecting any smart events anyway. So would I use it for other smart VCA functions? And honestly, probably not, even though they're there. Okay. Next one down is we got this onboard storage, so you can obviously put the SD card in there and store the images or record into the SD card as well as an NVR. But under road traffic, detection configuration. So you've got vehicle detection. There's 2 modes on this new 7-line camera. Vehicle detection and mixed traffic detection. So mixed traffic detection will be like pedestrians, motorbikes, etc. So if one of those comes into the area, it'll send an alert to the NVR 4200, whatever that is. Or are you specifically using it for vehicle detection? You only want to detect vehicles. You've just set it to vehicle detection mode. It's up to you which mode you set it in. Both will detect vehicles, but the one will detect the mixed vehicle one will detect pedestrians and cyclists, etc. in there, like the high-end one also, and generate an alarm. That may be what you're not looking for, so we'll leave it as vehicle detection for the purpose of this demonstration. So, area settings, I draw my border, so it's between the gates, that entry and entry box, so any vehicle that comes through this gateway should be detected. Now I can do 1 to 4 lanes again, just like the 4-line and the IDS. If you're using it on an in-out, barrier in, barrier out, 1 camera in and 1 camera out, just use it dedicated for that job. We can only still detect 1 number plate at a time accurately. So if 3 vehicles pass through this box or through the lanes, If they're all in there long enough, the camera will have time to process all of those images. If they're all high-speed vehicles, it'll just detect the one number plate and you might miss others, or there's a risk of it. So dedicated entrance exits, one camera for each. So we'll leave it as one lane. Select mode entrance exit. You've got entrance exit, city, street, or alarm input. So an alarm input, so like a set of beams or like a road detection, you dig up the road and put a loop in there. That can tell the camera to do the read. So you can interact with the camera that way, force it to take a read, whether it's through a PIR, a set of beams, a loop in the road, whatever. Entrance exit mode is the most accurate mode. So it's slower to read, but it does do the best performance of the number plate read, if one for a better terminology. And city street is if you're using high volume traffic at high speed, you'll find it'll process it much quickly, but there is a slight risk that the algorithm doesn't give you the full success rate on the read. Entrance exit works the best in my opinion, and we use them mostly for barrier control. Okay, so they're all the support of the listed supported countries. That was a mouthful. You can quickly see as firmware develops and changes, that list changes also. We can add to that should we need to. If there's a country in there that's not supported, let us know and we will tell you if it is or isn't supported. So number of lanes, one, entrance exit mode is fine. What you'll also see is this blue line here. So I can move this blue line wherever I want within the image. So if I want it up here or down there, this blue line is also now on the latest 4-line firmware. But it's actually the trigger line. So if you're getting you draw this box here and you've got standing traffic in there, like on the side of the road, and it continually reads the number plate, which clogs up your system. It's information you don't really need. This blue trigger line will actually only read when a vehicle enters this box and crosses this blue line. So if I put it up there, any vehicle that enters through this gateway here and in the box will trigger it. So it's an additional step to stop the false alarm or repeated reads of the vehicles that are standing in the image, for instance. So the vehicle has to go into the box and cross over that blue trigger line. It's a virtual trigger line. So it works really well. I think you'll find it's going to add a lot to it. So arming schedule and linkage method. So how long do you want the whitelist, blacklist, or other list? So if a car's not in the integral whitelist or blacklist in the camera, it's other. All of them are default to 24/7. That's generally how we want our ANPR cameras to work, but you can adjust that accordingly for your installation needs. What you'll also find underneath is the direction. So we can force the camera to read one way or another. So if you've got a camera that's on an entrance and exit barrier, but the out barrier is also, the in camera is also seeing the outbound traffic. Now the car goes out, sees the number plate on the rear, and then it will open the inbound barrier because it sees the rear facing number plate, which is in the whitelist. That's a problem. It's a security risk. We can actually force the camera to read a direction instead of both directions. It works very, very well for entrance exit setups. That's where you adjust it if it's in or inward or outbound traffic. Notify surveillance end to upload to FTP or memory card and then trigger the appropriate alarm output. So whitelist or blacklist. So whitelist could trigger output 1, which opens a barrier. Blacklist could trigger output 2, which triggers a sign and a warning light and sounder, for instance. So there could force them to drive away, or whatever imaginative scenarios you can come up with. Same with the blacklist, same with the white other list. You can adjust them accordingly for your site. And again, each one has the forward rear option on there. Okay, moving on. So we've covered that. Under picture, you can set, these are default. You don't really need to touch any of this, but you can adjust the overlay, the font color, what information is contained within the SDK snapshot. And then with the camera, you can give it a name. I've given it DVS HQ. Black and white list. So on the black and white list, the camera itself can now contain, as you can see there, 10,000 license plates in the whitelist or blacklist. It's as simple as doing this. I've got nothing in there, so if I export this list to my desktop, we could call it there, we'll just leave it default, we'll leave it as DVS HQ ANPR, just so we can find it more easily. Save that. It's exported. If I go to my desktop, where is it? There. Good old Microsoft Excel. So you put the number in, so it's plate 1, It's LN68LXD, which is my vehicle. So all capitals and no spaces. That's really, really important. Again, another thing that catches everyone out. So if it's in a blacklist or whitelist for barrier control, I'm going to put whitelist because I want it to open a barrier, and the date format is, so if I want it to expire on a specific date, so I can put that 2019-07 20th. So the 20th of the 7th, 2019, my plate will stop allowing me to get through the barrier. It's all contained within there, and you can do 10,000 plates within there. A couple of things to note, and this catches a few people out as a technicality. So under the actual cells themselves, if you right click, so you can highlight all of these, right click, go format cells, it should be text. If it's anything else, a lot of it defaults to general or number. When you upload the whitelist or this Excel back into the camera, it will populate it. It does look normal, but the camera doesn't work. Thing to note, make sure they're text and save that. And the same with these. Do that, format cells, and check their text. That catches people out every now and again, and it's a frustrating one because they keep defaulting the camera, spending a lot of time on it when it's actually that process. Microsoft Excel seems to do it really well. Other third-party systems seem to change that format, but it's definitely one to check. There's a handy hint for you. So Dave's toolbox hint. Once we finish that, save that list there, close it down, back into the camera, import, browse for it and import it. So on the desktop, click on import. And there we go. There's my vehicle, and it's in there, and I can do that with 10,000 plates. So it's a self-contained unit. I can use it with an NVR and put the whitelist and blacklist on the NVR if that's easier for you. But it's the limitation of 2048 on an I series, or you can use the camera with a third-party system or a standalone system, all contained within itself. So it's a very, very powerful product. Next tab along is the real-time LPR result. If you enable this, which will be by default, it'll tell you and all of the captured plates we've gone through. These are all my number plates and some from last night. So you can see there, it'll show you the 20 in a row. So you can see there all the number plates from staff coming in and out, and you can see it gives you the number, the number plate, the image, etc. That's more for a setup tool. So when you're setting the camera up and testing it, it tells you that the camera's working correctly. Also, the last 20 reads, and you can compare that data. It's more for the installation, but it just tells you that the camera's working. You can turn it off if you're not that bothered about it. But you can see there's all the ones I've been through it this morning when I was testing it, and they all came through really, really well. Okay, so that's the ANPR camera itself looked at, so we'll log out with that. Yes. What we'll do is go into so this is the NVR, iSeries NVR 9632 that I've added it to. So what I can do is go into picture just to show you that it's working. Choose the camera, so it's the deep learning, ANPR deep learning. Go into vehicle detection, go into all countries, and we'll do today, yes. Now, I've only just got this back online. The password was wrong, so I've just got it back onto the NVR itself. So if I click live view, this will bring up the number plate for a vehicle that's just been in. There we go. That's one of our staff members coming in. And along the bottom, it tells you there's the number plate there, CP19TYO, CP19TYO. And again, like I said, that's not the ideal angle to read a plate, but it is reading it really well on that angle. And if I leave it for a couple more hours, you'll see a lot more in there. Hopefully, you'll find this a lot of uses for this new product. Any questions you need to know, come to DVS, either technical, myself, marketing guys are really good, or your sales representative. We've ordered them, so they won't be long. If you need any more information, let us know. We will get that over to you. Hopefully, you'll find this of use. Keep watching, keep liking and subscribing, and notifications and all that jazz there. If I just do that, and then Jake can put it wherever he wants, and see if he can move it around, if he's that good. Don't know if he's that good. But yeah, keep watching, liking, subscribing. Really thanks for all your time and effort on you watching them and giving us the feedback. We'll see you next week for another how-to video. Until then, stay safe and love your family. Cheers, guys.